Alright, it's Mark. We're on the Landrover, so we've got the brake disc off, and if I turn it over on the bench for you, turn it over, and then we can see this is the bearing. I've just cleaned it up, and then there's a thrust washer on the back of the bearing. That I'm going to leave that there so I don't lose it. And then you can, if you see the lands on here, so let's get a screwdriver so I can point it out to you a bit better. So what we're doing is we're looking at this land here, but that's a light bit. That's a dark bit, and then we've got a light bit on the end of the race. That's the outer race, and that means that what bearing is all right. It's wearing perfectly. It's right in the middle of the race there, and it's not worn at all. In fact, it could be a new bearing, that one, because that's blooming nearly. It looks like it's brand new. So that's perfect. We're going to change the disc, which means splitting. Oh, turn it over. Splitting these bolts out, which I think are the same size as the caliper bolts. They're star-shaped. Bolts. There's on a Land Rover. There's only two places where you get these star-shaped bolts. This one and the holding the brake caliper on. One of them on the brake caliper is nazzed, so that's blooming got to come off. Now this seal here has worked as well, because that's the land there, and then there's no grease or oil in. There's no grease in here, so that seal's worked. So it's perfect, that one. And then we've got new bolts. Cleaned up bolts for the hub cap. And if I go outside and show you where we are on the hub. Well, in fact, I'll just show you the steering box. So the steering box is there, we're taking it off. So that's getting rebuilt. I'll show you that on another video. But the chassis is perfect there. There's no need for any repairs there at all. It's spot on. You can still see the weld at the top, look, where it was originally built. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's perfectly solid. So that's brilliant. And then if I go around to the hub, if we're lucky, Andrew's going to do something in a second. So what we've got is, on the front hub, which is the driver's side, and we couldn't get the back of the brake caliper off here because of that starred, it's actually rounded off, that starred nut or bolt on there. So we've split the brake caliper, or Andrew has anyway, we split the brake caliper, and then we've taken it off that way. So now we're going to take the stub axle off. So we can see this nut here that holds the bearing, that preloads the bearing, which is there. Then there's another bearing there, and then there's a seal there. And we know that seal worked because there's no oil on this and there's no oil on there. So that seal's worked all right. We're going to renew them, obviously. Now this is a 24 spline drive shaft. And what we're doing is we're looking for the clunk. We've got a clunk in the drivetrain at the front. And I know it's at the front because I took the prop shaft off the front and it went away. So I know it's somewhere on the front. So what we're going to do now is pull the drive shaft and the CV joint out and see if it's a 10 spline diff or a 24 on this Land Rover. It should be a 10. But we're not sure, so we're just going to have a look. Oh, and there we go. We have got a 10 spline joint. So that means we've got a 10 spline diff inside that Land Rover, which I thought it would be, but a double check, because someone had one on Facebook for sale last night, a brand new one, a 24 spline, but we had to do this job today to blooming see if we could buy it or not. And obviously we can't because it's a 10 spline. So we've got a 10 spline diff. We're going to check this CV joint. See if, because that grease looks a bit old in there. So we'll check the CV joint's working, or there's no play in it. If there is, we'll change that. If there isn't, because the splines on this end look pretty good, splines on that end look pretty good. So I'm guessing it's a diff. So this is Mark, this is the front hub, driver's side, and we're stripping down and looking for our clunk. And of course, I forgot to mention,